Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joined as always is Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
That's a science fiction movie podcast. We get together, we watch a sci-fi movie, we talk about it. And by the time you get this episode, it'll be a bit later, but it was Tara's birthday in the last week at the time of recording. So Tara just got to pick something to do on this episode. And she selected Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie.
My second favorite science fiction movie of all time. This is a good year. Yeah.
Because we did 2001, now we're doing 3000. Do you just like numbers in movie titles? Is that what this is?
Of course. I've made that claim many times.
The third favourite movie is The Sixth Day, which would be a very bold choice. So if those of you who are not familiar with Mystery Science Theater, and maybe some of you aren't because you're younger, like, you know, it's entirely possible there's like some like 18-year-olds listening to this who are like, what the hell is Mystery Science Theater? Well, it was a TV show. The movie came out somewhere in the middle of the TV show when it switched channels, I think. Was that correct? Am I timeline wise?
Well, they were still technically on the Comedy Central.
Yes.
I think it came out between seasons 6 and 7, and then they didn't get canceled on Comedy Central until the 7th season.
Okay.
I think like around the time the movie was coming out, because they have a joke in the movie about the Sci-Fi Channel.
I noticed
And
that.
I think that's because they were just making deals with Sci-Fi Channel.
I suspected there was some meta commentary there when they said, "I hope it gets a Sci-Fi Channel." I felt like I was sensing some real world joking there. So it's basically the premise of Mystery Science Theater 3000 is that someone who is, you know, in a goofy enough plot, being trapped on a space station with a couple of robots that he's built, will be forced to watch bad movies by an evil scientist, and that's the goofy setup of it. In reality, what it is that we watch a bad movie and we have three comedians crack jokes, you know, around the dialogue.
It's a comedy track.
But yeah,
or commentary.
It's a commentary. Yeah, it's a commentary track, effectively. Although occasionally the silhouettes will add to the joke, like they'll, you know, do something with their hands or they'll, you know, whatever. But for the most part, it's just the audio. It's the commentary cracking jokes. That is the entire premise. It went on to also become something called Riff Tracks, which is just without the silhouettes. That's the more indie sort of DIY version that some of them went on to do. It did come back for a revival because of Kickstarter. 2 seasons went to Netflix and the new version. They're doing another Kickstarter for another season that's going to be independent again. So it's been a long-standing thing since basically 1990, give or take.
Multiple hosts, multiple people playing the robots.
Yep. Although the general design of the robots has always stayed. It's always been Crow and Tom Servo and Gypsy. Yeah. So
they have evolved a little bit.
Slight tweaks, sure, yeah. But you know the gist of the idea has always been, you know. Yeah. So that's the basic premise. So the weird thing about this review is that we're kind of reviewing the wraparound segments on the space station of Mystery Science Theater, and to an extent the jokes that are being cracked during the movie. But then we're also reviewing This Island Earth, which is the movie in this particular movie. Like, so each episode, because this is the weird thing, which I've always thought, this is the first time I've seen this, is that I've seen Mystery Science Theater 3000, the show, and each episode is them watching a movie. So I always thought, well, what difference is the movie going to be? And honestly, there's not that much of a difference, other than the following things.
It's shorter.
It's a little bit shorter, which is weird. You'd think it'd be longer. But
I know.
But is that they shot the Mystery Science Theater like space station stuff on film, so it looks ultra high quality if you're watching it in HD, which is really weird.
It's very jarring if you've only known the show.
Yeah. The big disappointment that I had is that there doesn't seem to be any version of the opening theme song in this movie.
Well, there was one that was made for the movie, but they use it in the end credits, and it's just the instrumental because they want. I don't know who made the decision to not use the song, but instead use like a 2001 opening.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting like a big bombastic orchestral version, but I didn't even notice that there was a cover in the end credits because they're commenting over it still. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, it doesn't really sound like the love theme, but it just that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's credited as the love theme.
So I'm going to strike a point for not having a nice big budget version of that opening.
Okay, but like, so you're starting at like 15?
So we'll be talking about this as a Mystery Science Theater, but we're also going to talk about the movie This Island Earth on its own, because there's no point in us ever coming back to just do a review of that movie, because we're already going to say everything that we could possibly say about it.
We totally will. We'll do it much later.
No, we won't. There'll be nothing to say.
There's a ton of deleted scenes from the film. The movie's much longer than this movie.
Okay, I accept. Well, that may explain some things, because I have some complaints about the movie. And the lack of a lot of scenes might actually explain that. Okay, or maybe one day, but we'll see.
We'll give it some time.
We'll see. So
we'll see.
Yes.
I'm in charge.
So this will be a weird review compared to normal. As Tara tries to justify it being her second favorite sci-fi movie of all time. Because to get my thoughts out of the way, is I was obviously entertained by this. It's Mystery Science Theater 3000. What's not to like? There's some funny jokes. But I do not think this is their best riff. I think there's several episodes I've seen of the show that are better than this movie, as far as the commentary goes, as far as the jokes go, and even as far as the movie itself is. There's more interesting or funny or bad movies that they've done. So I am very curious to why this is particularly special to you versus the show.
Okay, yeah, well, it's the first one I've ever seen, for one.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, I get why there's nostalgia linked to that.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. Like, my family, we grew up in Canada, and we didn't have Comedy Central, so we didn't get Mystery Science Theater. But we got HBO, and every week, HBO would play the movie of the week. And one week was Mystery Science Theater, and the trailer looked ridiculous, but like, whatever, it says it's okay for the whole family, so we all watched it as a family. And I remembered the Siskel and Ebert review for it, oddly enough, because that's the other show I watched religiously every week, was Siskel and Ebert reviewing movies. And I remember them talking about this film, and they gave it 2 thumbs up, and I looked for it, and it wasn't anywhere. It just sounded interesting. And it didn't play anywhere near me, so I didn't go see it, but I thought the robots were cool, and it was an interesting, goofy aesthetic. And it was like they were just going to watch a science fiction movie, which I already love. And so after the movie was over, like the whole family just kind of gathered around in the kitchen, and we just started like reenacting all of our favorite jokes. I mean, we were dying of laughter. It's always better to watch this type of stuff in a crowd with lots of people. It just makes it more funny. So, and we were just rolling in tears. It was so funny. And it wasn't until later, because I watched the movie multiple times when it was on TV. And it wasn't until later that I realized it was called a movie, because there was a TV show version. I didn't know. Then my brother had found out. And so I looked online for it and stuff, and of course I couldn't get it. I asked my dad to order me a t-shirt from their website, and I still have it. It's like 20 years old, and it's of the Observers, which is from the TV show, which I had no idea who they were, but I just wanted something from it. It was the first thing I ever ordered off the internet. How exciting. When that same year, my folks were like, hey, we're moving to California. We're going to be able to go to Disneyland all the time. And all that, though that was great, my first thought was I'm going to be able to watch Mystery Science Theater because I'll get the Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah. But I love this one. I think this one is very easy to like, for new people to, dip their toes into this type of comedy and this type of movie watching. I think the jokes are a lot more tame, even though they have some language in this one that you wouldn't hear in the TV show. I think they're not really like political jokes. I mean, there's a couple maybe like references, like once John Sununu, I guess that's kind of a political joke. And then, but there's not a lot of inside jokes either. It's more so just like, I don't know, it's fun. It's a fun movie that even if you don't know the show, it's an easy way to like just watch it for the first time. Like if someone told me they never watched Mystery Science Theater, but they were curious about it, I would probably lend them my copy of the movie before any of the episodes.
Okay. Yeah, I obviously had a fun time with it. I enjoy Mystery Science Theater, but like I say, it's just not particularly anything more special than any of the episodes. In fact, I would say that I like it, a good chunk of the episodes more from what I've seen.
Oh, sure. I mean, I've since have found my favorite episodes, and they are, I would list this one somewhere, upper middle in my tier of Mystery Science Theater.
Sure.
But it is special, it has all the big sets. You get to see more of the Satellite of Love. It's got like decent effects for, the backdrop of Earth and space, and
decent
it's a good looking movie.
Decent compared to the show. I don't know if they hold up compared to other movies, but decent compared to the show for sure.
I mean, seeing the Satellite of Love like on a bigger budget was kind of cool. Like the outside of it, the exterior.
What got me is the 5.1 soundtrack that it has now. Obviously, it wasn't released with this, but the 5.1 soundtrack that it has now, my subwoofer actually rumbled as the ship went past at the start. And I went, This is weird. Why has Mystery Science Theater got like surround sound? This is odd. This is not how it's supposed to work. What's funny is that the new Mystery Science Theater that ended up going to Netflix for 2 seasons, and obviously there's going to be more of it now, because obviously now things are made for widescreen, unlike on the old days when all the original show was made, is that this movie actually looks more like the new show than it does the original show, which is just kind of an interesting tidbit, because of the format of film versus the format of what TV was at the time.
I think the new show is still like quality wise, sure, it looks like this one, but the new show really tries to hold on to that, that other, like the Dr. Forrester years of the show. I think it's trying to harness that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I just mean in terms of how it looks, like how how it feels in terms of visual quality. The fact that the movies are in actual widescreen and there's
a lot more seats.
The row of seats at the bottom. Yeah, it goes on a bit further, which is nice. So, yeah, it is odd that it's a bit shorter. As far as jokes go, yeah, the jokes are good. As with any Mystery Science Theater, there are good jokes, there are decent jokes, there are okay jokes. There's a couple of duds. There's some that don't, make any sort of reaction. I tend to like when they have some sort of running joke that will pay off later. That I don't think it's that funny at first. Like when they first go into the spaceship in the movie, someone jokes that the main chair, the captain's chair, is the toilet seat, right? The toilet seat's right in the middle of the command deck. That's a bold choice. And it was like a vaguely amusing line. But later on in the movie, when one of the aliens is helping the humans is injured, and he comes stumbling back into that alien ship, and he kind of like sits on that same chair, and one of them goes, "Oh, finally! I've been waiting for this all day." Like that made it really funny.
Glows yellow.
Yeah, that made it really funny. It was a really good payoff to that. I think sometimes some of the jokes are funnier because of a personal thing rather than because of the writing of the jokes. I laughed a lot more hysterically at a joke in the first 30 seconds of the movie because it's us watching it. Because there was a joke that started off as a Star Trek joke but turned into Babylon 5, and I thought that was really funny, given that we reviewed Babylon 5 and you're a big Star Trek fan. So I got a chuckle out of that.
It's the first time I've watched it since I've watched Babylon 5.
Yeah. Did you remember that joke? Was that something you knew was coming, or was it like,
oh, I know every single line in this film.
See, that's the disadvantage I have here, is that when I watch a Mystery Science Theater and I've only seen it the once, I'll remember maybe 10% of the jokes, if that.
Sure.
Because it's a lot to take in. But you've rewatched them so many times that you remember every other joke.
This came out in the age where I was just glued to whatever movie I became obsessed with.
Yeah, I get it. I was the same. Yeah. I remember taping Ghostbusters 2 off TV and watching it 8 times in a week because whenever I taped a new movie off TV, that's what I did. I'd watch it over and over again.
Never got tired of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that with Jaws, The Graduate. For some reason, that movie spoke to me. I like the soundtrack.
Sure.
Speaking of, Saturday Night Fever was one of them too.
There you go. And that's basically it. I don't know if there's any. I mean, obviously, if there's any jokes you want to highlight as we talk about This Island Earth, because that might spark your memory of particular jokes. This Island Earth, which I have seen the full version of this a long time ago, but it was so long ago that I didn't really remember it. If you'd asked me the plot of This Island Earth before we watched this, I couldn't have told you what it was, even though I know I've seen it.
Yeah.
Because it's not that good a movie. It's a very mediocre 50s sci-fi movie.
People were really upset that they chose to do this movie for their theatrical release. They thought it was too much of a classic that, the Mike Nelson and his robot pals were going to riff on something that they loved, and they should have picked a worse movie. But I think it's just about right. It's good when, I think it's better when you're able to follow the plot of the movie. I think those lead to better episodes. Like Mitchell's a really good one. I think Werewolf's a great one, because it's not like Monster Go-Go or even like Manos, which is a good episode, but like some of them are truly painful to sit through, even with the commentary track going on. Just because like I just need to get through this movie. I'm getting so like drained trying to keep up with what's happening.
I would say it's a vaguely disappointing choice for their big movie showcase. Not because I don't think the movie's that good. I think it's a pretty average to mediocre 50 sci-fi. Because I bought the reason why it's
pretty good.
The reason why I saw this years ago is because I bought a DVD box set, and it was like a classic 50 sci-fi box set, and it was like 5 good movies, and then This Island Earth was like the 6th one. It was like this makes up the numbers a little bit, but it was clearly the one that was the least respected out of the whole box set.
Right. Well, it's not like a movie that's saying something like The Day the Earth Stood Still or something. It's just very much let's have a fun what if aliens came to Earth and wanted our scientists to save their planet.
You say that, but it wasn't Day the Earth Stood Still that was in the box set. It was other schlocky things, but they were much better. So it was like stuff like Tarantula or The Incredible Shrinking Man, like just fun movies that were really well done. And I remember enjoying every other movie in that box set. I don't remember enjoying This Island Earth. I remember that, just thinking that was a bit...
Even the Mutant?
Even the Mutant, yes. The Mutant. But anyway, the point I was getting at is that I think it's a little disappointing that this is the movie to pick, not because it's too good, because it's not. It's really not.
No, it's not too good. Right? It's good enough.
But it's a little disappointing because it's also not, like, iconically bad or disastrously bad. Like, I feel like, see if you were doing Mystery Science Theater now, like, it would be The Room. They'd have to do The Room. Like, just by default, that's the first thing you'd have to do. That's your big showcase. That's your, you know what? If you're going to do Mystery Science Theater, if you're going to do proof of concept, they watch a bad movie and they crack jokes, you do The Room. Or maybe you do, the sequel would be Birdemic, and then the third one might be Samurai Cop. Like, you would pick the crown jewels of the bad movies, which admittedly are pretty funny on their own just because they're that funny bad. But so this by its nature is kind of like, oh, it's just kind of...
Yeah, but I mean, I get it, but as someone who's seen like every single episode of the show, there are certain movies that just don't lend themselves very well to a 90-minute episode that you have to sit through. And one of them is characters. And I think the characters in this film are very easy to spoof. They're very easy to keep track of. They have running gags that are hilarious. And I think that is the big difference also, which makes this a good movie for them to do for the theater.
But you don't think there's another movie that could tick those boxes that is better fit than This Island Earth?
Well, I mean...
Also, before Some Smarter says, I know all the suggestions I picked were all post Mystery Science Theater. That's why I said if they were doing it today.
Yeah, there's definitely a riff tracks for all of those.
Oh, no doubt. Of course there is.
Or riff tracks live.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's, it's fine. It's there's nothing special about it though. There's nothing. Admittedly, when they were making Mystery Science Theater, I don't know if movies had the reputations they do today. Like today, I mean, Samurai Cop would have been a possibility, I suppose, because that did exist. Out of the examples I gave there, but like today, there's a lot of movies that do have that reputation, and Manos: The Hands of Fate is one. I mean, I don't know, when they did their episode on Manos: The Hands of Fate, did that already have that reputation, or did Mystery Science Theater doing that movie give Manos: The Hands of Fate the reputation? I think
Mystery Science Theater elevated it to a new crowd where it became like, okay, move aside, Ed Wood. This is our new, I don't remember his name, but like, this is the new worst director.
And then Zack Snyder came into the fray. I agree. So,
I mean, to use Ed Wood as an example, they've done films by Ed Wood in Mystery Science Theater, and even those are like hard to sit through, and like you get kind of burnt out. But I think, I do think this Islander that has the characters, there's not that many of them, and they all are very distinct and easy to make fun of, and it looks good. Like, it's colorful, it's got an interesting alien world, and it's got special effects, and it's got mutants. Like, I think it's like just the right era where it kind of is on this line of, is it a classic or is it just kind of dumb?
No, it's just not. There's no question. It's not a classic. It's just a mediocre movie from the 50s.
Yeah, but like, people remember it. They watched it on TV and they have memories of it, so it could be a classic.
Doesn't mean thing. Although, interestingly, in that speech towards the start of it, you answered effectively my question. Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's the movie.
I have watched. Well, if you get the DVD or Blu-ray of Planet 9, it has the commentary track from Mike Nelson.
Sure.
And although the movie Ed Wood makes it look like it's a very watchable bad movie, it's still very hard to watch.
No, but that's just what I'm saying though, is that's the one that probably had the reputation at the time that it would have felt like, of course that's what the movie's going to be. It's going to be Planet 9 from Outer Space, finally, kind of thing. Like, I think that's maybe what a fan base would have expected, is something special like that where, they're finally doing that one that we know like is ripe for it, that has a reputation.
Lots of fans were upset that they didn't, pick a movie like that. Instead, they went with This Island Earth.
Well, yeah, that's kind of my point. Is I get that disappointment because they've got one chance to kind of capture a bigger audience because they're going to be in movie theaters and new people are going to try it, and maybe it is right to do something that's a bit on the blander side because it's just more of because maybe more episodes of the show are taking a bland movie and making it funny because their commentary's there, rather than taking something that's already, even if, I mean, I don't think Plan 9 is actually it's not like The Room, because the Room is actually entertaining to watch, right? Because the Room is actually a funny movie to sit through. If you've got friends, you don't need a riff tracks for it. You can just watch it and it's hilarious.
Although the "oh hi gun barrel" joke at the end is pretty hilarious.
And riff tracks?
Yeah, for The Room.
I've not heard the riff track. I don't know. You have to tell me that.
You can imagine where it fits in. Oh hi gun barrel.
I think there's a danger with The Room though, with that, where you could effectively crack a "oh hi something" joke in every single scene, so you have to restrain yourself.
Oh, they do.
Maybe you don't have to. Maybe it works with, I don't know. I've not listened to the riff tracks.
It's pretty good. Like, it's not my favorite riff tracks, but like, it enhances the movie.
I mean, I technically only listened to my first riff tracks last week, but only because I always felt like I've not watched all of Mystery Science Theater yet. I'll save the riff tracks until I've done that.
It's not like there's no story behind riff tracks.
I know, but I like to do things in order. It's just
What riff tracks did you watch?
Icebreaker.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
We were quoting lines the next day, back and forth.
Yeah.
Timeshare.
That was good.
Bruce Campbell, Sean Astin, and Stacey Keach. So it says it's from 2000. It is a terrible Die Hard knockoff at a ski resort, but riff tracks version not bad. It's on Tubi. There's a lot of riff tracks movies on Tubi.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Tubi is the best free movie watching app. Number one.
Yeah. Actually,
they have some episodes of Mystery Science Theater also.
What's funny is I noticed, because obviously Mystery Science Theater is quite famous for them saying, share your tapes, pirate it around, basically, because we want people to just see the show. What I thought was funny about the end of that riff tracks is that there's a little note at the end with Mike or whoever saying, if you saw this somewhere other on our website, consider going over and donating a couple $2 to help it keep going. But thanks for enjoying. And I guess that still works in the context of finding it on something like Tubi where it's officially there. Yeah. But it also kind of feels like it's like, we know people are going to pirate it. And if you pirate it, I hope you enjoyed it. But go throw $1 or $2 our way. I don't know. It felt very genuine. Versus buying a $40 special edition Blu-ray that opens with a "Piracy's a crime." Why are you telling me this? I bought your disc. I bought your disc. I'm the person who gave you the money. You don't have to educate me on this. Anyway. So we just want to talk about this Salad Earth, right? Which I've made it clear that I think it's a mediocre movie. Now, admittedly, missing scenes could explain some of my annoyances. There's some things that are further explored. Definitely. So the gist of this movie is that we've got a hotshot engineer pilot man who, with
a voice made of melted butter,
with a voice that is so Hollywood and fake sounding that's unreal.
Do you think it's fake?
Well, no, when I say fake, I mean he's definitely practiced this. He's definitely trying to put on the leading man voice.
Honestly, there are some times where they're doing their fake cow voice, where it just blends in so well to his voice that maybe it is fake. Maybe.
I don't think that's his natural voice. I think he's got his performance voice that he's using.
Yeah.
In that scene or in that movie.
Deep.
Yes. So he has a friend character who just disappears after the opening act of the movie, but they get him. Well, he has a weird incident in a plane where he's flying his plane and it turns green, and then he lands. And the plane should have just crashed, but obviously this green beam of light guided him down and helped him out. But they get a mysterious package, which is a book, which he says in dialogue, this isn't paper, this is some kind of thin metal, which I do recall one of the commenters just going,
no, sir, that's paper.
And it's paper. It's not like they made a prop where it looks like thicker paper, it looks like it's got a funny, see if they'd made a book where they'd use a material for the paper where it kind of had a foldable quality that would completely spring back out or something to make it look unique or different.
Right, yeah.
But it wasn't. It was literally just a textbook.
Yeah, this is after the metal breakfast pastry saga. Back when, science didn't have to have any particular purpose. They're just doing some experiment by heating up a metal box inside of a toaster.
Oh, that was one of my favorite jokes, because that went on for a while with the word. They had this big, weird, metal grintis, and it looked vaguely toaster-esque, so it became a joke about...
Start warming the syrup.
Yeah, this is about his waffle, and then it catches on fire. No, my waffle!
What's hilarious is that there's actually a deleted scene right after where they get those little beads in the mail, and he's saying, and the wormy guy says to Cal that, hey, I tested these and, it has an output energy of, something off the scale. And so Cal goes to test it also, and it also explodes. So he just keeps setting all of his experiments on fire for the first time we meet him in his laboratory.
And the aliens want him to help with their
he's the best.
That's weird. Yeah. Okay.
Number one in his field.
So the first book was a set of instructions. The first delivery, sorry. And then there's a delivery the next day or whatever with just tons of crates with parts. And it's a test to see if you can follow the instructions and build this thing, which turns out to basically be a very big iPhone.
It's an interocitor.
Interocitor, yes. but it's a video call device of which the aliens who are basically just have big foreheads. That's their entire alien characteristic.
That's their shtick.
Yeah. Basically, this was a test. We need you to come and join our science team. There'll be a plane on a runway tomorrow. Blah blah blah. Come and board. So the little like wormy best friend scientist man, he just disappears from this movie after he takes off in the plane, and the plane self-flies.
I like the joke of "I'm your pilot, Claude Rains."
That's good. I get that. You're here to point out the jokes because I'm not going to remember all these, but that was a good joke.
Oh yeah, I know them all.
And it turns out they just go to some random state. It wasn't like they go to like another planet. And there's so maybe the full version of the movie explains this better, but I didn't really get the point of him. Like, so he meets the love interest effectively, who's another scientist, and he's like, "Oh, I know you. You know, we were together as kids, and we had this backstory together." And she's like, "No, I don't remember."
Let's go swimming in the little river, Shrinky Day.
And she's like, "I'm sorry, I think you've got me confused with someone else." I never quite understood this because it never really felt like it resolved it.
Right. I think that is part of the deleted scenes where she kind of explains why she needs to not let it be known that they know each other.
Okay. Because part of my big complaint in the movie as far as like the plot setup goes, because it's so far it's like fine, it's doing whatever it does. I like the idea of like getting all these mystery parts and having to build a device which then leads to like the next thing, whatever. But so he's introduced to like their compound, which is mostly just other scientists with a couple of these aliens walking around. In fact, one of my favorite jokes is when they're all having dinner, and the alien says, "Oh, you know, what do you think of your Mozart? You know, is you're saying you're of your earth, of your music," and the guys just keep saying, he's like, "I'm not an alien."
I know, right?
I'm not an alien. No aliens here.
That's definitely one of the best running jokes.
Yeah.
Indeed. I'm not an alien.
So there's another guy who sort of like talks to them, and they end up going to the lab. And
do you know who he is? I mean, they make a bunch of jokes about it, but we have definitely seen him in 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone.
I recognize his face. Yeah. I couldn't have told you.
He's the professor from Gilligan's Island, which I know you don't know because we talked about it during the Twilight Zone reviews.
Yes. Okay.
But that's why they kept making jokes about like, you built this car entirely out of bamboo, huh?
See that those jokes fell flat for me. I didn't get that joke. That's fair.
Can't believe you never watched Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island was not a hit in the UK. Okay, no one watched Gilligan's Island.
That's so strange.
And I'm pretty sure Saturday Night Live is never broadcast here either to this day. So
those are 2 completely different American shows.
I know, but it's the other one that I always think of when people talk about Saturday Night Live. I'm like, that's literally never been broadcast here. At least I don't think it has.
Well, you guys probably never got Mystery Science Theater also. I didn't get it in Canada. That's not very far from the States.
It may have been on the Sci-Fi Channel growing up. I just never caught it. Because we did have the Sci-Fi Channel. It did exist in the UK.
Oh, okay.
So
we didn't have it when I was a kid.
I don't remember it ever been on, but it's possible that it wasn't. Because you don't meet a lot of UK Mystery Science Theater fans, I don't think. So yeah, it probably didn't air here.
It was only on... When I watched it, which was until season 8, on the Sci-Fi Channel, it wasn't on until Sunday mornings. So Sunday mornings was always Mystery Science Theater day for the family. Except for my mom, because she actually liked the movies. She watched like all those movies growing up, so she's like, I don't like it when they talk over.
What was the point I was getting to? Okay, so yeah. So that's third guy, or second guy rather. Third character. So we got a little trio. It doesn't last long though. He ends up dying in a car explosion pretty soon. But this is where the movie kind of like confused me a little bit. And again, maybe this is just because the scene's missing. But I got really confused because immediately I wasn't clear if like they're all under duress and they're planning an escape, or they still kind of believe they're doing something good here with the aliens, or if they feel trapped. Like it was giving me really mixed messages. Because there's a whole part here where the aliens are kind of watching them on a security camera effectively. And they realize they're being watched, so they start like speaking in code again. And I'm like, wait, are they just under that much duress? Like this does feel like a prison to them. I don't know if the scenes I got in this version at least made that completely clear to me. I was a little mixed on it.
Yeah, so that's definitely what's happening, is that Ruth and Steve are trying to tell Cal in secret that if this seems all too good to be true, it's because it is. We've already tried to escape essentially like unnoticed, and there's no way out. Yeah, essentially for them.
It did feel like there were parts missing in this like line of thinking. Like I essentially got the gist of it.
Yeah.
but it felt there were steps being taken out, and maybe that is just because the scene's missing. So they tried to escape in the car, and something that happens here when the aliens like grab
the car that they're all sitting in the front seat.
See, I would make fun of that, but I feel like lots of movies do this, especially from this time period. They love to like that. See, as someone from the UK, right? I have never seen a car where you can sit in the middle and the front. That just doesn't exist here.
Yeah, they're like bench seats.
Yeah, that's where the gear stick goes.
Yeah, but these old cars, I mean, there was always a middle seat.
See these American cars with the gear sticks like behind the wheel? That's not a thing. I've never seen that in real life.
Right. Well, new cars don't have a bench seat in the front. They don't have a middle seat in the front. But they, unless you have a truck.
Sure. Anyway, just the observation here. Bit of cultural observation.
Well, it's a funny joke in the movie.
But the movie kind of glosses over something here, because obviously there's like the main alien ends up being kind of someone who wants to help them and tries to help them escape later on in the movie. Is it just me, or does it kind of gloss over the fact that he was okay with like blowing up the building with all the other scientists in it when they leave?
Yeah. So he gets a call from the Monitor, which I guess is the name of his leader or whoever's in charge.
That's a DC Comics character, I think you'll find. But okay.
So he gets a call from the DC character guy, and they're like, okay, we're running out of time. Just take your best scientist and get back over to Metaluna. And so, yeah, they have to destroy all the evidence. And he asks them, like, can we just let them go? Like, just give them the brain scramblies and release them before we do that. They're like, there's no time for that. Just kill them. Just take your best. So he's still, like, following orders, but he tries to release, or tries to do something, at least so they don't die. There's that. Yeah.
But anyway, so they get taken, and they try to leave it via the little plane, because, you know, as established, our main character is a pilot. But they get beamed into their flying saucer, which I'll be honest, as it was flying around, looked more like a cowboy hat that was bobbing around.
Yeehaw.
Yep. And they get taken to their planet. There's some exposition on the ship, and this is the weird thing, because this is obviously only 75 minutes. The original movie is 85 minutes, so if you take into consideration, there's 10 minutes less, but there's also like at least 10 minutes of like stuff that's not the movie in this Mystery Science Theater version. So you're probably looking at like 20 minutes, give or take, that were cut from the original version. But the pacing of this version, at least, is super weird, because this is like quite far into this movie at this point. You know, you're quite far into the runtime, you know, percentage wise, when you get to this point. So there's not actually a lot of time to do this stuff on the planet when you get there. But it turns out they take them to their planet, which is, and the reason why they want all these like people who can make neutrons and like nuclear energy and stuff is because they've got this big planet shield that's blocking all these like meteors and asteroids that are constantly hitting the planet, and they're dire need defense. Although very quickly the villainous one's like, and we're going to take over Earth and move there instead.
Yeah, we're going with Plan B.
Yeah. I think maybe that's part of the reason why I think this movie is just okay, is that some of the motivations from the aliens seems to flip. Like we barely learn of like the first motivation or the first plan before it just kind of flips almost immediately. Everything feels like very wishy-washy and just kind of like, just as quickly as possible to go through the adventure. But they're practically there for a minute before they're trying to like escape, and it's about running away.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. Yeah. Like, okay, you guys are here. You made it to another planet. Now it's time to go home.
Yes, and run for your life. So the main alien dude sort of helps them get back, and they have to deal with a couple of mutants like on the way, then on the ship.
That wear slacks.
Yes, they have these tubes they have to go into because it like changes their physiology to like withstand the different atmospheres between Earth. So they have to go back into it to get ready again for Earth's atmosphere.
There's some good jokes about farting.
Yes. And the mutants, like, and it's actually it's a good joke in the movie, but it's actually funny on its own, because I was already like in my head thinking this was stupid. Is that so the woman, the love interest character, like her tube opens up and she ends up having to run away from this mutant, and they kind of said that it was dying anyway, but it gets back up and starts chasing around. So then our main hero, like his tube starts to open, he's getting ready, he runs out, but before he can even get to her, the mutant just like kills over and dies. So she was never really in any danger, and he gets to her after this, like, oh, I'm glad there was a whole dramatic scene of him trying to get out of his tube and like just getting there in the nick of time for no reason.
Thank God I saved you.
Yes. So that was one of those jokes where they made the obvious joke because, like, yeah, this is exactly what the scene just did. It was pointless.
Yeah. Totally.
So that stuck out to me. The movie ends super quick as well. Like they like leave the saucer in their little biplane and they're back on Earth and they're just happy to be on Earth. Like we'll get him reuniting with his friend from the labyrinth like that. That's the last we see of them. And then the alien who's dying because he gets shot like along the way.
His liver's hanging out.
He got
pinched by the mutant. Yeah,
he just rides the saucer into the sunset basically as he's dying. And that's the movie. It's there's not a lot to it. It's a very thin, like there's no themes to really talk about. There's a couple like I do like that the forehead aliens, some of the sort of red shirty ones like wear these clear helmets.
Mm-hmm.
For no reason other than it just looks kind of goofy and sci-fi, I guess.
Yeah, doesn't really hide their foreheads.
No, but they're proud of the forehead. I assume the foreheads in the societies, like, you know, guys try to keep your dick sizes. They're all really proud of the foreheads. Like, look at my mammoth forehead. My forehead's bigger than yours.
Yeah, otherwise it would be like a baseball cap that they wear.
Yes. Hey, maybe I don't know. Maybe something like that would work though. Maybe if you get like a baseball cap, but it's like again, it's clear, and you've got like the measurement at the side, so their hat measures their forehead though, so you can clearly see how big their forehead is at all times. It's a point of pride.
All right. Usually, baseball caps are used to cover up embarrassing foreheads.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, you know, you have the cap come out, but you have a clear thing, and you have like a measurement. You have like a
yeah, I get it.
No, okay. Go on.
It's hard to follow up with Mike Nelson and his robot pals. It's all right.
All right, fine. You didn't like my dumb joke. We can move on. That's it. It's not. The movie's not that interesting or deep. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like. I don't know if it's really a classic. I know we've already had this conversation, and you think it clearly isn't. But people do know this movie. Like my mother knows the film because she watched it on TV many times.
Well,
before Mystery Science Theater.
She's an oldie though, right?
I mean, she's older than me by about 20-something years, but
an oldie, yes.
She just grew up with lots of monster movies. She recognizes a lot of the Mystery Science Theater movies, actually. But, you know, I think, you know, my father knows it too, and he was just liked sci-fi as a kid. I guess people know this film. It's not like, I don't know, The Crawling Eye or something. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, but it's, you know, people know. I don't know. What do people know from these days? That people know Independence Day, and some people do think of that movie fondly. But you know, going back and watching it again, it's like, you know what? It's not actually that good.
Sure, but would you say it's a classic?
No,
from the 90s.
I would say it's a classic. I'd say people of that generation have some nostalgia for it because they saw it at a young age. But I wouldn't say it's a classic. That does not make a classic movie.
All right.
Jurassic Park is a classic from the 90s.
No, that's a good movie.
Classics.
You can have classic films that aren't good.
No, well, it depends on the context of how you say it. If you're just using classic to mean old, then sure, it's just everything before a certain date, effectively.
Well, not just old, but like something that represents the time.
But no, but when you say something is a classic, you're giving it a prestige. You're giving it it does mean quality. It's not just anything from...
Okay. I think This Island Earth has some quality to it, especially if you compare it to other science fiction films from that time.
But there's also all the good ones that this does not compare to.
There are some that are better, yeah.
Much better. Much
but
better.
Like that alien design I've known for a long time, even before Mystery Science Theater. Not the alien, the mutant. Like, that's a popular Halloween mask.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it.
Right.
You know, you got the big foreheads, and you have main characters who don't really have any kind of arc or much of a story, which, I mean, maybe I'm asking for. I mean, keep in mind here, right now I'm not critiquing it as a choice for Mystery Science Theater. I sort of gave my reasons why I don't necessarily think it's an all right choice for Mystery Science Theater. Right now I'm just critiquing it as a movie on its own right now. I'm not critiquing it as because obviously I don't care about that as a choice for Mystery Science Theater. Of course, most of the movies they cover don't have good character arcs. I don't expect good character arcs in the movies picked for Mystery Science Theater. I'm merely critiquing the Cylinder on its own right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make that clear.
Yeah, okay.
Because I can just see the comment. I can see the comment. Oh, well, you want good arcs and Mystery Science? No, I don't. I don't care. But there's only so much conversation we can have about the Mystery Science Theater part. We have to talk about the movie on its own too. So, it's very mediocre. No, but not without any charm. I'm not saying there's no charm to it. I think it gets worse as it goes though. I think it's more interesting early on when it's like, oh, there's a bit of mystery. Okay, who's sending them these packages?
I do like the character of Exeter a lot.
Yeah, sure.
He's the main alien. Yeah.
He's probably the most interesting one. I know he's the main alien, sure. But don't.
I don't know.
I couldn't have remembered the name.
You've never used his name so far.
Yes, but as soon as you said that, I knew who you were talking. I just couldn't remember it to say it. Okay. But as soon as you say it, I get it.
I saw you searching. Searching the back of your mind. Exeter.
I wasn't.
She must be the main alien.
I wasn't searching for who it was. I was searching for, do I agree with this, or am I about to shit all over it? And I came down to, he is the most interesting character. I can see why you like him.
Okay.
I don't feel strongly about him, but I can see why you like him.
I do like the movie The Silent Earth. I don't think it's, particularly great, of course, and it's easy to make fun of for lots of reasons, but I think, we watch a lot of movies, and I've seen a lot of bad movies. I know what they look like. I think the unaltered version of the film is still pretty decent for the time it came out in.
Okay. I don't think I have any desire to ever watch the full version again and talk about it.
Well, we will.
How? We've not even made an hour, and we talked about the movie plus Mystery Science Theater in general.
We haven't talked about any of the host segments.
Okay, do you want to talk about the host segments? Okay.
Well, so far we just talked about the movie, and I've interjected the joke segment along with it.
Oh, well, let's talk about the host segments then. Because there's no ad breaks, they sort of try to get, at least with the first one, they get a little creative where they have the film burn out, and it cuts to Forrester, setting the projector on fire.
His tie is stuck into the projection.
Yeah, I did appreciate the joke at the start as well, actually, where Crow's trying to just dig his way to Earth and doesn't understand space, and then they literally just fix it by, well, first of all, of course, Tom Servo ends up covering it himself, but Mike, as a permanent fixture, just puts a bowl where the hole is. as if
that'll do.
That'll do. Just duct tape it down, maybe, just so it doesn't move side to side.
The bowl's slightly bigger than the hole. It's fine.
That's science, right? That's how space works.
You can hear a little squeaky sound of air escaping still. I'm sure they're fine. Gypsy will fix it off screen.
Sure, yes, Gypsy, the unsung hero of the.
Yeah, there's actually a deleted scene, a deleted host segment where, because in this first one, Mike has to save the bots, but in the one that gets deleted, which happens during I think around the time of the asteroids in the actual film, when they're dodging an asteroid, because it happens during an asteroid field that the satellite love goes into, and so they have to take cover, and Mike is losing oxygen, so the bots have to save Mike. This time it's reversed, and he runs out of air, and one of the things that's pretty funny is Gypsy has to revive him, so she just swallows his head whole and says, "The breath of life," and brings him back to life by giving him oxygen. After the other bots do things to stop the air from escaping.
I did feel there was less segments than I thought. And There was only 3.
Yeah, that's all studio stuff. Like, there's a lot of like behind the scenes, not so nice stories.
Like I was expecting one every 15 minutes, but I felt like there was only 2 or 3 total. Like that actually interrupted the movie.
Yeah, there's only 2 that happened during the film. There was a 3rd one, and that one was cut out. And there was an alternate ending also. The Blu-ray has the deleted scenes that you can watch, and but there's a lot of studio interference, just like all things, and they actually parodied their experience working with the studio in one of the episodes in season 7 for The Incredible Melting Man, I believe.
Do you know I actually own that movie on Blu-ray?
Mm-hmm.
Without Mystery Science Theater, just the movie. I just own the movie.
I think you brought it up already.
That's a bonus movie for sure at some point.
Oh yeah, totally.
Incredible Melting Man. I'm definitely down for doing that as a bonus episode.
I also own that movie on DVD.
But
it's a Mystery Science Theater.
Yes, but with the commentary. But you don't get to watch that version when we do the review. You have to watch the vanilla full movie.
Well, I'll just watch both.
You can watch both if you want, but you're watching the...
I've already seen it, so it doesn't matter.
Have you seen it vanilla? Have you seen it without the commentary?
I will watch it vanilla, but it doesn't matter if I watch it Mystery Science Theater again.
No, it doesn't, no. But the important part is you watch the unedited, uncut.
Right, I'll do that.
Extravaganza.
Right.
So
just like this doesn't count as a This Island Earth review because it's a Mystery Science Theater.
But
review.
How much more are we going to have to say about it? Like, really?
We'll wait like a year or so.
Longer than a year. Tell you what.
We'll see if we last that long.
Tell you what. When you hit a certain age, we'll do This Island Earth as a standalone review.
This is my show. I'll decide when we do it. Tune in next week.
Next week we got something more fun to do next week.
That is not true.
It's totally true. I'm looking forward to next week's movie.
Yes, I think it's unfortunate that because of the studio being like, you need to cut some more stuff out. Like, I think originally it was going to be a much longer movie, at least 90 minutes, like the TV show is, and have one more host segment and a different ending.
Yeah, I feel like because it's a movie, and I'm almost surprised that the Netflix seasons as well didn't do this, because there's obviously not, channel time constraints, is that surely the movie was a chance to, let's do like a 2-hour movie, and with the segments it'll be like 2.5 hours long, but it's a movie though, it's okay, it doesn't have to be. So the fact that it's shorter than like a regular episode is really weird.
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable.
Yeah, it's very, very odd. So I guess they just like the format, keeping it tight, and think that maybe it's too hard to sustain it for like a longer period. But there's definitely some movies that warrant doing the full movie, where even if it's a 2-hour movie, just because it's so insane or so whatever.
Oh sure.
I'm looking forward to do Tammy and the T-Rex or something. Basically, what I'm saying is go check what movies we've done as bonus Patreon episodes, and do most of those as Mystery Science Theater episodes. There's
a Riff Tracks I know for Robo Vampire. I kind of want to check out because that was a really awful movie to watch.
That was a hard review to do. That's a terrible, not this is good promotion for Patreon. No, but
it wasn't a good review.
But that bonus episode that we did for that was terrible because it was so hard to remember because none of it made sense.
Yeah.
That it was us blubbering our way through trying to remember just what the hell happened in the stupid movie. Not a good example of a good bonus episode.
Yeah, start with Time Cop and maybe skip Robo Vampire and come back to it eventually after you already like us.
Yeah. Well, they're already, if they're on Patreon, I assume they've already become a little affectionate towards us.
It's hard to tell.
We recently did I Come in Peace and Tremors 2 and Starship Troopers 2. Those all turned out fine. Go check out those.
That's true.
But yeah.
So the other host segment that's kind of a bigger one is the Hubble.
Yes.
Which I do love, all these hallway shots we get of Mike and the bots walking down a hallway and talking. It's all what is this show? It's not a show, of course, it's a movie, but after you watch the TV show where you're just stuck on one set, to be able to see hallways and Tom Servo's room and whatever Crow is in that he's digging his way to Earth. It's cool.
Yeah.
There's a Manos reference in this one.
Mm-hmm. I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm ready to rate that. Are you good?
Oh.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, it's my second favorite sci-fi movie. Why are you done already?
What else is there to talk about?
Well, we haven't talked about the Hubble segment.
I thought you just... Okay,
the ship hits the Hubble.
Yes.
And Mike Nelson, because he's fully instrument rated in Microsoft Flight Simulator, feels like he can handle this situation and takes out the hands of fate, which is just these gloves, these power gloves that he puts on, and he goes to release the Hubble, take it off of the ship and release it, and then it falls because movie science doesn't make sense and there's gravity in the vacuum of space.
Yes. That's
okay,
a fun bit.
Fine. You want to rate it? Fine.
It's a fun bit.
It's a 10 out of 10. Okay.
It's a fun bit. I don't know what you want from me. Look, I told you this was going to be a weird review, a weird episode, because I don't know how to review this as a movie. It's odd. Like, I don't know how to rate this out of 10 compared to a normal movie. Because I don't really view it as a movie. Yeah, it was technically released as a movie. It was in
theaters. It's called The Movie.
It is, but it's not. But it's not.
Just you wait till we have to review that Serenity movie.
I don't know.
Just you wait.
I don't know if we're ever going to do that, because that's not what we're doing Firefly first. So
I've seen the show.
Yeah, you can't just it's the conclusion to.
I see it. You don't want me to do it. I understand. I understand why.
I mean, the one I did with Connor for Serenity was like almost 3 hours long. It was a huge, like, I was breaking down every scene. And
I know you were crying a lot.
And the genius of every scene. So, I'm going to give this, at the risk of my own life,
or whether or not the show continues.
I'm going to rate this more as an episode of Mystery Science Theater than I am as a movie.
That's not fair.
Why is that not fair?
It's a movie.
But I can't compare it to. How do you compare this to the Terminator or Predator or 2001? Or you can
as a film.
But it's not a film, really. It doesn't have a plot.
It says so in the title.
It doesn't have a character arc. It doesn't have. It's not the same thing. It's like a different format. It's not even a TV show in a lot of ways. Mystery Science Theater is a unique thing. That's what's so special about it. That's
why it's the greatest television show ever.
It's a unique medium that doesn't really fit into the mold of a TV show. It doesn't fit into the mold of a movie. It's its own unique beast and genre that it created, and people love it, and that's why it still exists. It's why RiffTrax exists. It's why a lot of like internet reviewers in a lot of ways like got their shtick. I think was through things like Mystery Science Theater. It's got a very special place. But I think there are better, episodes of the show versus this movie. I think as far as a Mystery Science Theater, subject goes, I'm giving this a 7 out of 10.
Oh my God. You are fired. Leave a comment if you want to replace Peter for this show. I'll be in contact. Unbelievable. I feel gross. I'm going to shower after.
Would you feel better if I give it a 9.5?
Yes. Although I'd still call you a dick.
I don't know what to tell. This Island Earth, by contrast, is a 5, by the way. The movie itself is like a 5.
I'll wait till we do our review.
Oh dear. Expect an apology at the start of next episode where I have to retract everything I just said, because Tara's going to give me a very stern talking to probably after we're done recording. But yes,
It just doesn't make any sense.
It's good. I had fun, but it's no werewolf. It's no Mitchell. It's no what episodes have I really liked to that show? Moon 2-0, Moon Base 0, whatever that one's called. I really like that one.
Moon 02.
Moon 02. There you go. Of course.
That's one you really like. No one ever brings that one up.
I like that one. I also of course what do you call it? Red Brown.
Space Mutiny.
Thank you, Space Mutiny. Of course. Well, maybe my favorite episode. There's a reason why that one's so well known.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, right?
Okay. Well, if we're gonna list episodes that we really like,
okay.
Yeah, I'll say obviously Mitchell and Werewolf are probably. I go back and forth on which one I love the most. Werewolf's just so rewatchable, but Mitchell's so good. I watched them during the Sci-Fi Channel, so I kind of lean towards Mike episodes just because they're the ones I know. I love Prince of Space, and the Puma Man. I really like Hobgoblins. Oddly enough, Overdrawn in the Memory Bank is a weird one, but I love it. Time Chasers. Pod People is a classic. I wonder if there's one that I love that people don't love. Probably not. I can't think of any.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Monster Go-Go, like that one's hard to watch, but it is pretty good.
Well,
Killer Shrews, the Hercules movies are fun. Both of them. And the Gamera movies.
well, with that said,
yeah,
Tara's going to post for the thumbnail, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. Pause. Zach is 10.
Yep. And you have 10 fingers to edit there.
I'm a little tempted to actually just like silhouettes.
Oh, that'd be alright too.
I thought that'd be funny.
Put Foxy as the third one.
She can be the crow. She's the most crow-like head.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have to give me like a photo from behind of Foxy so I can.
Or in the front. It's just silhouette.
True, that's true. But that's why you're on this show. You're smart.
Oh, don't try to butter up to me now. It's not gonna work.
Tara's the best, everyone. Everyone say how good Tara is in the comments.
I already know this. I'm the only one who gave this movie a proper rating. So
yes.
clearly.
Yes. None of my 9.5 running jokes going anywhere anytime soon. It's getting a following.
No, it's not.
I've already been asked to make a shirt that's how do you follow up a 9.5 out of 10?
I hate it.
Because that's how I started the Matrix Reloaded review. which the comments so far have been fairly defensive on, might I add. So I appreciate all your input. I respect that you find something in there to like and you want to be more positive on it. But you're all dead wrong and I am right. Deal with it. So, moving on. Coming up next episode of the Atomic Cinema Experiment, we are returning to, not a franchise per se, because there's only 2 movies, but we did the first one a while ago. I think it was a vote winner, maybe.
A classic?
From 2013, sure. So we are doing the sequel now next week, just to make sure we've tied it off in a bow and we've done both movies, and we will be discussing a first-time watch for Tara, which is Pacific Rim Uprising. So,
it's not called Pacific Rim 2?
No.
Come on, Guillermo. It's not Guillermo, is it?
It's not Guillermo, no. It was
you know I like numbers.
Stephen DeKnight.
I think I like him.
I think he directed it. And then John Boyega, who's in it, also was like the driving force behind it. He wanted to make it, so that's kind of why it happened. So, if you don't like it next week, you can direct all your complaints at Mr. Boyega.
Well, I would, but he never responds to my emails. I've tried.
Yes. So there you go. That's what's happening next time. You can, of course, support everything we do by hitting that like button and subscribe and comment. All those things to help us find more audience members. As does, of course, rating the audio podcast 5 stars and giving us a review on the iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from. Tara, why don't you tell them all about Patreon?
Yeah, if you enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildfuzzTV. And if you donate as little as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes of The Ace. You can check out all of our reviews that we've kind of already mentioned and talked about. Plus more. We've done quite a few now. And if you donate $5 per month, you'll get access to these reviews 1 day early, and some other shows you get a whole week early. And you get to vote on what we watch on The Ace. Thank you.
That's the thing. So yeah, and I'm just trying to think back and how many bonus episodes I gave higher than a 7 out of 10. There's not many of them because a lot of them are, on the cheesy or low end of the spectrum. But there's 1 or 2 I think that I gave a higher score to.
I think I gave Transfer 2 a 7, maybe a 6.5.
I definitely like Time Cop more than Mystery Science Theater the movie, but I don't know if I gave it like a higher number. But I have a lot of attachment to Time Cop. I grew up watching Time Cop.
I think I gave that like an 8.
I have a lot of attachment to Time Cop. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Special.
Oh yeah, it is what it is. Classic.
You like that word too much. You're throwing that word around. That's a classic. This is a classic. You're a classic. Everyone's a classic.
Everyone gets a classic.
Is this because you're reaching the classic age?
I don't know why you need to throw age into it. You're the one who's reaching with these age jokes.
That one's a bit of a... I give you that one. That one's a bit of a reach. You're not a classic. You're a new summer blockbuster hit.
Thank you.
I don't even know how complimentary that even is as a statement, but
I have no idea. It's the first time I've ever heard one, so we'll see. We'll see how it pans out.
Yes.
I'll follow up at the end of the summer.
Good to know. Good to know. So there you go. This has been the Atomic Cinema Experiment. This has been your weird Mystery Science Theater 3000 the movie episode.
Happy anniversary, Mystery Science Theater 3000 the movie.
Oh, did it just hit something?
25 years.
25 years. Oh.
In like April or something. We're a little bit late.
Hey. Yeah, the Mystery Science Theater as a whole is like, what, 31, 32 now? Something like that?
Yeah. I want to say it started in 89.
I think that was that first season that wasn't on Comedy Central yet. Yeah, the weird season because they redid some of those episodes, so they're kind of the non-canon ones, if there's such a thing as canon.
I've actually never seen... I've seen some like clips of it, but I've never actually watched the KTMA stuff. I'm not a very good super fan.
Believe it or not, it's somehow even lower budget than the rest of the show.
I think Tom Servo was made out of like toilet paper rolls.
There we go. So, in the not too distant future, next Sunday AD, there was a guy named Joel or Mike. Not too different from you or me.
From you or me. Not enough songs in this one. I agree.
Weird that I'll make that complaint, but yeah, I expected more songs from this crew.
We do get one great song though. Normal view. Normal view.
The music was getting quite epic when they said, give us the normal view.
That's enough. Normal view.
But odd. All right. Thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction and computer at Salsa.
We've got movie sign.